Welcome everybody to the Hot Tag Hooligans Wrestling Podcast Show with myself, Aaron and Tom. Tonight, a very special guest. She's the Violent Vixen. It's Adena Steele. How's it going?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Excellent today. This Sunday, you have a big matchup coming up for Combat Fights Unlimited in Williamstown, New Jersey, against Ray Lynn. Talk to us a little bit about your upcoming matchup with her, and what are you doing to actually prepare for that?
I'm definitely excited for it, but also, she's been wrestling so much longer than me. She competed in the last Combat Fights, which I did not. So, I'm going into it knowing I kind of have a disadvantage, being realistic. She's done this before. She's been around a lot longer. So I've really just been trying to, I've been watching the past competition. I'm just trying to see, how she works, little bits and pieces from that. Oh, sorry, my dog's attacking her toy. Was enough. And also the past few months I did start doing MMA myself. So I just actually got back from training not too long ago. So I've just really been trying to keep on top of that and just fine tune my own skills. And that's all I can do. I can't control how she's going to be. I just am working on making sure I'm at 100%, know what I'm getting myself into, and, just train as much as I can up until that point.
I find CFU very interesting. The very first show I actually watched on IWTV and stuff like that a little bit later. I didn't get to watch it live, but I love that concept. I felt like it was sort of like the Josh Barnett the blood sport Josh Barnett with using female talent. So what kind of drew you to that?
Honestly, I like variety. I get very bored just in general in life. I like to switch things up, keep me on my toes, not get too comfortable or in just a habit of doing the same thing all the time. So kind of like you said, it's a different vibe. There's a cage, there's no ropes. I have to really think outside the box of my normal arsenal I would bring to the ring. It's a different ring. It's not, it's a cage, and I have to approach it completely different than I would going into, a normal wrestling match. That's what I typically do. But I think training, I've been doing mostly jujitsu and Muay Thai, and getting involved in that, I think is going to really work to my advantage, because just, even watching the past fight, I'm honestly, it almost made me more at ease, because I'm like, oh, I do this all the time, and I think it's just, may the best woman win.
Now, what actually drew you to pro wrestling, and how young of an age were you into it?
I started watching wrestling very young. Probably my whole life, honestly, because my father watched it, and my mom, she worked a lot of nights when I was a kid. So that's what was on TV, and that's what I got into. I was more of a WCW girl growing up, because I just watched whatever was on. So I loved it as a child. I did get away from it a bit throughout my maybe early teen, stuff like that, just more focused on friends and being a degenerate and such. But once I feel like I got back into it probably around 17, 18. One day I literally was just in my room flipping the channels. It was on, and I don't remember who I saw, familiar faces. I was like, this is kind of cool. And it brought back that nostalgia feeling a bit, I think. And I got back into watching it right off the bat from there. And it was cool kind of catching up, seeing the people that, I'd known from the past, brand new faces. And then, it was never something I thought I would personally do. Not that I didn't want to, I just didn't think it was a possibility, I guess. It seemed like such a far-fetched idea. And fast forward, my early 20s, I got really into working out and fitness and the gym. And one of my good friends was kind of like, do you ever think about furthering this, being a personal trainer or whatever? And it really wasn't something I was interested in at the time. But literally we had that conversation. A few days later, she saw that, a local wrestling school was having tryouts. Coincidentally, she saw them posted on Facebook, and she was like, you're going, I'm coming with you. We're doing it. And I went, and it was fun. And I was just kind of like, whatever, why not? Worst case scenario, I don't like it and I stop and I go back to my normal life. But right off the bat, I definitely, it's definitely challenging. I'm not, honestly, I was never very that athletic. I wasn't in a lot of sports growing up. I'm kind of clumsy. So it didn't come naturally to me. I definitely feel like I had to work a little harder, but I loved it. And I figured just, I'd give it my all, do my best, and have no regrets. And that's just kind of the way I've been going with it.
So in your training at the beginning, was there a certain point where you could kind of talk about where you were like, I feel like I have to do this now, and I know that I can succeed?
I mean, I definitely wanted to pursue it, early on. Like once I started training, I knew like I was really into it. But I also like, it's like one of my strong points, my weaknesses. I'm very, very, very critical of myself. So honestly, I everything I do, I'm overanalyzing and I hate. And when I watch my matches, I cringe. And there's everything that I see that I wish I did different. And it works to my advantage because it pushes me to always keep training, improving, trying to get better. But I don't think I ever was like, oh, I'm gonna, be super successful, because honestly, I'm very hard on myself. And I kind of just wanted to just have fun with it, do, whatever opportunities came my way, and just kind of keep growing through that. And that's helped me a lot, and just getting more comfortable, of course, in the ring and with people, and just in my career. I definitely have a lot more like confidence in myself now than I did starting out, but I also still know I have a long way to go. And I just, I hope it ends up somewhere. I don't want to be set on what destination that is, but I just think if I keep doing what I'm doing, getting my face out there, my name out there, training, inevitably, hopefully something's got to give eventually.
So the one thing that really catches my eye with you, and anytime I look at social media, I think you really have a fantastic look. And, it's very marketable for myself. Like if I was going to put on a promotion, I'd want to slap you on a poster immediately because you automatically catch my eye. And one of those reasons is because of your tattoos. Now, how many tattoos do you actually have?
I honestly have no clue. It just, it started, especially when I started with my first tattoo on my right arm. I did a half sleeve right off the bat, and then, added kind of like piecemeal to that and all over. So now, fast forward, it's like I have both sleeves done. I have, my sternum, like underneath my chest, above my belly button, my thigh, the back of my legs. There's stuff on my back. But making your presence known here. Something on the back of my neck, and then the side of my neck, behind my ear. So a decent amount will be my final answer.
Now, how old were you when you first got your first one? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I was 18. My parents are not into tattoos or piercings or any of the such. So I had to wait till it was legal for me because they were not signing. I definitely started piercing myself when I was young. They did not like that at all, but I could kind of get away with that. Definitely. Luckily, I did not try to tattoo myself or go to some, I had some friends that were doing it in their basements and stuff. And luckily, I didn't take that. I wanted to, but I know I would definitely have regretted if I know at the quality that it would have been.
Yeah,
so I waited till I was 18.
Yeah, my first tattoo was a bad decision all around. It was, like I told you, where I live, it's kind of rural. And there was this guy who had a tattoo parlor and a trailer. And nice. So we all showed up. Of course, we had all been drinking and everything. And I went in, and the guy was like, well, I'll get you. And I was like, you know what? I'll come back tomorrow because y'all are about to close. I didn't really want to get it, but he's like, oh, no, it's fine. Just sit down now. We'll stay open. It's fine. So I was like, oh. And then, of course, when you got all your buddies with you, it's just even worse. Now, the other ones I've gotten throughout the years have been done really well. But yeah, I feel you. It's wild of how fast it can grow.
Oh, absolutely. And it's addicting, at least for me. Like you get one and it's like, okay, if I have this one, if I get one here, it'll balance that out, and then adding, and next thing you know.
I keep telling Tom to go Bam Bam Bigelow and get something on his head, but he won't do it.
Oh, why not?
I am completely scared that I will hate it. I
Oh,
don't.
yeah.
I'm big into art and I like different things. I love tattoos, and I think on a pro wrestler, it adds a lot to your character. I look at someone like Aleister Black, Malachi Black, whatever, Tommy End, what's going by today, or Mercedes Martinez, and I look at them and I just think that adds something special, and it really makes some depth to their character because there's so many questions that you have when you see those things, and it's also a little ominous as well. Especially how some of them are done. I absolutely love them. I just don't think that I'm somebody that's going to look good with tattoos. But I have been more open to it in the last couple years. My wife and I have kind of talked about us doing something. She's got some things she wants to do. So I'm like, well, if you're going to get one, I'll probably do something. And it's definitely going to be pro wrestling related. So who knows? But
yeah. Start smaller somewhere that you could cover it up, and then eventually your skull, baby steps.
Not the top of my head to start out. I think
maybe that's not the best idea for a first tattoo, but you'll get there if you start. I know it'll happen.
I like getting tattoos that mean something to me. My kids' names, family oriented, that's, or something I'm into, like superheroes or something that is me. That's how I kind of go. So whenever you're picking out a tattoo, do you go with that feeling as well? It's got to kind of mean something to you, or you just kind of like it for the art?
I'd say 50-50. Definitely a lot of them have meaning, and I thought about for a while and such, but then there's other ones. So a lot of times if I was on like vacation or I would go to like tattoo conventions, sometimes I would just see the artist had something drawn up that they wanted to do, and I'd say, cool, let's do it. And there'd be really nothing behind it besides I thought I liked what it looked like. I knew they wanted to do it, so I'd probably get, that extra like TLC in there, and they'd really do their best because it's something they were passionate about. So that those would be more for the art as opposed to the meaning. But I'd say mine are half and half. A lot of them do have meaning behind them, and some, like even some of the ones that I just got randomly, still resonated in a way for this reason or that. But I would say it's half and half at this point.
You're known as the Violent Vixen. How did that come about as far as your nickname goes?
I honestly don't even know when it originated. It's something, I don't know if I heard it or someone said it to me or how it came about, but I felt like it had kind of like a ring to it, and it went along in a way with my character because I'm not too gimmicky, if that makes sense. Like some people have a very like definite, gimmick, they're this or that, and I wanted to be still kind of like relatable in a way, maybe like some people say that like the superhero undertone vibe to it, but I thought my dog's nuts, but like having like that, it's still, gives me sort of like that depth in that character and something to it without it being so far-fetched, because I didn't personally, where I'm at, I just didn't want to have like this crazy over the top gimmick. I wanted to be kind of, still relatable in a sense, not just this total entity, but so it kind of just, I don't know where it originated from, but it just stuck, honestly.
So when you work on your character and you have evolved it over time, do you look at different things to use for influence, or do you how do you put it out the best that you can?
Anytime I've ever like gone out and tried to figure it out, it just like, it's almost like a roadblock. So I kind of just, as things happen, as I maybe see something in a movie or characters in a film, like little things like that, I'll just kind of like draw from slightly, maybe not 100% trying to mimic, but kind of keeping it in my mind. Like, okay, I liked, especially in like superhero movies and things like that, you see a lot of action and just different mannerisms and things like that really could carry over into wrestling. So I try to kind of always just have an open mind and absorb, as I'm watching anything, but especially things more along that category, knowing, there's probably a lot of opportunity to try to draw from in there. So I just kind of let it just kind of happen organically. Not like everything about my name, my character, all of it just kind of happened. And I'm like, all right, it's working. I'm just going to roll with it. Just kind of flow with it.
Now, you typically play a babyface more than you have a heel. So, and that's one thing, because if I was booking you, I would have you at the most violent person in the world. So do you like playing a babyface more than a heel, or what?
It's funny because I never thought I would always kind of be a baby face. Like it's ironic, but a lot of people tend to even want to be more of a heel. Kind of, I especially for me, because I am normally pretty friendly and happy and giggly, but visually I do come off more as a heel. I think like when people first see me, the tattoos and this and that, they think, oh, like she's probably a heel. But typically I am a baby face. And I think either I enjoy for different reasons. Like babyface is just fun. You get to interact more with the fans, and I love the fans. That's one of my favorite things. Just interacting and just seeing them light up with excitement just over the shows and meeting people. But being a heel, I feel like I get booked as a heel more at promotions that I'm just going to for like a date. Not when the ones I work consistently, I tend to be babyface, and that's fun too, because it's just something different, a little bit out of my comfort zone, because I am typically babyface, but it helps, I have to think different, act different, and kind of draw on a different part of my personality that I don't utilize often. So I enjoy both, honestly. And it's just the hardest part for me is with being a heel, it's just like being mean to kids and things like that. Like I feel guilty. I really feel guilty about it. But I typically, ironically, I am booked as a babyface line. I think a lot of people don't expect that, like when they just see me, if they haven't been to a show. But yeah, I'm comfortable with either, and I like kind of doing both. So that's why I like it's my typical promotions. I'm usually babyface, but when I'm wandering around, whatever available dates I have, a lot of times I am a heel or kind of like a tweener if it's like a multi-person match. And I have fun with all, because, it's different. I have to think differently. You could do the same moves, but I have to approach it differently. So it just keeps me more mentally like sharp, I think.
This is going to come across heelish of myself, but have you seen some of these kids at some of these shows? They deserve to be a heel at them. I'm just telling you, some of these kids at these shows are out of control. And
no, you're right. It's totally true. I think some people, just not even at shows in general, they just bring their kids wherever and think, okay, they get a free for all, and everyone's gonna think it's cute because it's my kid. No,
it's like it's a babysitter for 2.5 hours. That's what it is sometimes.
Absolutely, yeah. So then it's a lot less difficult to kind of be a little aggressive, but I still get the guilty conscience.
So when you do these one-off shows where they may have you working as a heel, do you use that as an opportunity to be like, hey, I can do something different and new this time? Or do you just kind of try to stick to the same heel character that you use on different occasions?
I definitely try new things. I figure it's like the perfect time. Why not? It's a random promotion usually that I'm not normally at. Like they don't know me usually. If it's my first time there, they don't know what to expect from me most likely. So I kind of think I could just try things, or if there's something I wanted to do at training, or I saw that I was watching, I wanted to try that, when I'll try to incorporate it, because why not? It's a perfect opportunity, not in my normal environment, and a little different characters. Even I don't want to always do the same exact stuff, because that's boring to me. I get so I know a lot of times like you need to have your set things, because the crowd expects certain things from you and you have your arsenal, but a lot of times I'll do the same moves, but maybe a different sequence or a different way to get into it, just to keep it fresh and like less predictable.
Now, we've heard your dog a few times.
Yeah, she's
and don't think nothing about it, because we've had pets, like I said, knock over cameras before in the middle of stuff, and we've got pets ourselves. Being a pro wrestler, is it hard having an animal, having a pet, with being so much travel?
Oh yeah, it's so sad. It's it's, I've gone, especially now after the pandemic, I'm busier, I think, than I've ever been. Every Saturday I'm booked for at least the rest of the year, most Sundays, some Fridays. My parents live next door to me, so that helps a lot in the sense of, they help let the dogs out, and they have a dog they'll all play. So it takes a little bit of the guilt away. It's not like they're just alone, or I have someone just stopping by. Like, they get, taken care of. But I know, like, I still feel horrible. Or like, if it's a show I have to stay at a hotel, or I'm not sleeping home, I feel so guilty. I really do.
Yeah, I feel we travel some, and we leave ours with the mother-in-law.
Yeah,
and I hate it. I worry more about that dog than I do the kids sometimes, and it's so weird.
I think it's because, like, they don't know either. Like, if it's kids or humans, like, you're like, okay, I'm going to do XYZ and I'll be back and everything's cool. But I just think, like, oh my God, they're definitely just sitting home, sad. Every noise they hear, they probably think it's me coming home, and it's not. And I beat myself up over it. But I try to just, walk them in the morning, do everything I can with them. And I swear, like, they know, like, my other one's, I don't know what she's doing. She's a little thing. But so now it's like they know what I'm trying to do. Like, if I have a friend over, or like now I'm doing something, she's purposely doing all this because she's like, you're not giving me attention. Like, she's currently digging at the ground trying to get a toy that went under the other couch. That there's literally toys all over the floor. She could play with any of those, but she's like, I'm just gonna dig here and play with this loud pig thing, just because you're not paying attention to me and you're obviously talking to someone else. So it's like, it's funny. They got personalities, but I just, it is hard being away. Even like moving, I've thought about moving, but it's a lot for them, and it's really convenient having my parents next door to help out with them. So for now, I just, I do the most that I can with them and try to spend as much time as I can. And I apologize. I give them lots of treats in a bark box and stuff.
Now, as you talked about you getting booked a lot more than when the pandemic was and things like that. Are there places that you are excited about coming up that you haven't been able to work at yet that you're going to be able to, or are there places that you're hoping that you'll be able to branch out into in the near future?
I do have a couple things coming up, a couple new promotions, which I'm always excited for. It's a different locker room, new people. I think September 18th, I'm at IWA in Jersey. I've never worked for them. In I think December, I'm going to be at it's place. It's like Capital Championship Wrestling, I think, but it's an all women company. And like, I haven't been able to make any dates. They just started running a month or two ago, and I'll be able to make the December date, and that's in Delaware, I believe. So I always love working for like all women's promotions. And there's definitely a lot of places I'd aspire to be. Like, I'd really like to work for like Mission Pro, like Thunder Rosa's promotion, or NWA, things like that. Kind of just like get my foot in the door places. So I'm definitely kind of trying to work on just growing and branching out. The rest of this year I kind of have already figured out. So for 2022, that's weird to say, but like for that, I definitely want to try to really branch out, like kind of go to like the next level, hopefully. And I'm just going to kind of do my best the rest of this year, do all I can to be like in, the best shape I can, train, get where I want to be, and hopefully be able to push it next year.
Now, you're from Scranton, is that right?
Yes.
That's the home of The Office, right?
I knew that was coming.
I mean, so tell me about, have you watched The Office? Are you a fan of The Office?
I haven't watched like every episode, but I've watched a decent amount of it.
Is it really well known for The Office, or is it known for anything else?
Scranton? Pretty much just The Office. It's not like, it's a very in-between city. For being in Pennsylvania, there's a lot. There's really just, bars and churches. That's all you got. Bars and churches. But it's not like the middle of nowhere like a lot of Pennsylvania is. So there's a decent amount going on, but pretty much The Office was the most pivotal thing to happen to Scranton. But, like they were known before that for like, coal mines. There's a coal mine tour, things like that there, but no one knows about that. So I feel like The Office was like the biggest thing. Like I don't know if they still do it, but there used to be conventions and stuff that people would come here from. I'll never forget one day I was downtown, like I was just downtown living life. And I met someone from Australia that like came to Scranton just for this Office convention. I'm like, came to Scranton. Like, So it's funny because like the show wasn't even filmed here. It was based on here, you know, in some of the opening scenes, but like they didn't even actually film when they were here. But I will say in the show, there's a lot of like everything's so dead on. I don't know how they picked Scranton or why. I never looked into it, but like, you know, they'll have bumper stickers from like actual radio stations and they'll talk about real places here. So it's very authentic. But yeah, I think that's probably Scranton's number one selling point.
So what is your favorite television show when you're home and you got time to unwind? What are you watching?
Oh God, I don't watch TV, honestly. You know, I'm not good at it. I don't have a good attention span. You know, in the past, you know, I've loved, like, I feel like one of my favorite shows of all time was Game of Thrones. You know, like I watched that like just through an app or streaming it. I didn't watch it when it first came out. I really like, that's one of my favorite shows. And of course I'm home. If wrestling's on, I'll throw that on just because it's, you know, obviously I'm interested in it and it's good to have on the background. It's like you don't need to pay 100% attention all the time. But honestly, I'm not a big TV person at all.
I feel you. It's hard. You know, I find myself DVRing more than watching live. Or I could probably get by, if it wasn't for pro wrestling, I could probably get by with just Netflix and Hulu and you know, and stuff like that. Because you just never know if a show's going to last long enough to get involved in it. And then, you know, everyone lives such a busy life. Sometimes we're not home and it just makes better sense to catch it later.
I know. Yeah, I'm bad. I would never be able to like stay and watch. I used to do it a lot with American Horror Story. I always loved that. And that was one show I'd like, when it was on, whatever time, whatever day it would be, I'd be like making sure I was here, ready to watch it. But I think it's hard too, because then with Netflix and everything else, I feel like as a society, we just don't have any tolerance for like commercials and this and that. And I don't at all. Like I'm gonna watch wrestling pay-per-views because I'm like, I'm gonna watch it tomorrow or later so I can fast forward all the in between and this and that, because I just don't have the attention span for it. And it's like when you know you don't have to watch that, you're not gonna. And same thing like a show, okay, so it show's on for an hour, but in reality it's probably 40 minutes and you're sitting there with commercials for half the time. So I'd rather just watch it after and fast forward all that or get rid of that. So yeah, I think it's definitely not something that people commonly do anymore. Just sit down when a show's actually on and tune in. They're just.
Well, Dina, thanks so much for actually joining us tonight. Tell everyone where they can find you at on social media.
All right. Instagram is at Adena Steele, ADENA STEELE. Facebook, both page and like page, same thing, Adena Steele. Twitter is at _Adena Steele, because someone apparently took that name before I did. And yeah, that's it. Pretty simple, to the point. And I have a YouTube, sort of, kind of. I haven't uploaded anything in a while, but they're probably all matches you don't want to watch anyway. But it is there. I wish I didn't say that, but I did.
It's fine. Good luck this weekend for CFU. Hopefully you'll come away with the victory, and look forward to talking to you again sometime soon.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been fun.
All right. For everyone else out there, make sure you all hitting the subscribe button. We got another show coming up later in the week, and next week, fingers crossed, it's going to be mad crazy. I'm just going to tell you all now, if things work out right, it's going to be mad crazy. Multiple shows next week. Can't do it without you all, so thank you all so much. For myself and Tom, everyone have a good night.